2017 has been a really devastating year for hurricane season here in the fall. Hurricane Harvey caused millions of dollars in damage and displaced thousands of families on the U.S. mainland, but also Hurricane Maria has caused a massive damage to Puerto Rico. Many of you may not believe that Puerto Rico is really any of the U.S.'s concern, but it's quite the contrary. In 1917, there was an act enacted called the Jones-Shafroth Act, which essentially gave Puerto Rican citizens dual citizenship with the United States. In other words, Puerto Rican citizens are also United States citizens, American citizens. These are Americans that are being affected by Hurricane Maria. Much of the infrastructure in Puerto Rico has been severely damaged or flooded, such as the roads and bridges, which causes a massive logistical problem for transporting people and supplies across the island to safety, etc. Not to mention that it's an island, so it's very difficult to get the supplies there in the first place. We have to ship it all instead of just sending it on the roads or flying it in quickly, in the example of like Houston, Texas, or any of the areas that were affected by Hurricane Harvey. The relief efforts in Puerto Rico are relatively scattered and very minimal due to these logistical issues, whereas Hurricane Harvey had extensive and very organized relief efforts, and many people benefited from those relief efforts in Texas and Houston, whereas in Puerto Rico, not everybody is getting the care and the help that they need. For example, according to the LA Times, about 85% of citizens in Puerto Rico are without electricity and another 40% are without running water. This data was compiled from the LA Times and Associated Press reports. This leads me to my approach. We have decided that instead of setting up our own base, we would actually link up with one of the 450 shelters within the area. We would transport our supplies via freight on ship into one of their ports, and then transport all of those goods with local transportation to a nearby shelter, so that we can distribute these and administer first aid, distribute the water and administer first aid. We plan on asking volunteers that have any medical background, combining our efforts with other aid stations there, other relief efforts, and we plan on using essentially the citizens of Puerto Rico to help themselves with these supplies that we will provide. We plan on getting about 80 packs of 12-count bottled water at $5 a pack, first aid supplies such as bandages, antiseptics like isopropyl alcohol, and disposable sterile gloves. We also plan on bringing over a 5,000 watt gasoline-powered generator and about 100 gallons of gasoline for the generator. The supplies by itself totals about $2,000. Transportation-wise, we actually project that it'll cost $2,000 to transport all of the supplies to the island, and then transport those supplies to a relief station or a shelter. And then the remaining budget for the transportation will be moving people to and from the shelter, recruiting people with medical backgrounds, or just moving people, volunteers, to distribute the goods or to get the word out that there are more supplies at this shelter. This is a very trying time for the Puerto Rican citizens. They have essentially banded together and decided that they're not going to quit, and they don't have the supplies that they need, and they desperately need these supplies. And it seems to me that it seems to us rather that there are very few relief efforts geared towards helping these Puerto Rican citizens, because many people don't know that they're actually U.S. citizens. These are actually Americans that are being affected by this storm. So I believe that direct relief may be able to help a lot with this effort. Thank you very much.